Something about the ending of Stranger Things doesn't feel right. Not just confusing, not just emotional. Wrong. There are fake episodes, missing records, memories that don't belong to the characters, symbols that break the rules of the story, and clues hiding in plain sight. The more you look, the worse it gets. Vecna might not be gone. 11 might not even be alive. The finale looks like a happy ending, but it mirrors past fake endings from earlier seasons. Characters act like strange versions of themselves. Doors flip direction. Time seems to disappear. Posters hint at alternate conclusions. And one tiny detail almost everyone ignored could change who is trapped, who is free, and what this world really is. If you miss these clues, the ending will never make sense. Every piece matters. And together they change everything. The conformity gate theory is one of the wildest TV theories ever, but it isn't random. The theory says this: Mike and the main group never escaped Vecna. They are still trapped inside his mind, inside a fake world made from recycled memories. Just like the children Vecna trapped before, they are not awake. They think they are free, but they are actually stuck in a dreamlike prison where everything feels normal, but is. This means episodes 5 through 8 might not be real events at all. The theory says the exact moment everything breaks is when Mike is knocked unconscious in episode 4. From that point on, reality may no longer be real. Here, why that matters. Episodes 5 through 8 were never legally registered as official TV episodes. Until registration happens, they are classified as promotional or licensed video content, not true episodes. That is extremely unusual for a major Netflix series. It gets stranger. When fans went to theaters to watch the finale, they didn't receive tickets. They received vouchers, almost like Netflix didn't want people legally paying for something that wasn't truly a finale. A mysterious radio broadcast called WSQ returned right before the season 5 documentary. That broadcast told listeners to turn it all the way up to 11, wake up, that the town had been taken over. Even the host names were suspicious. Mindy Flair Vance, those names are anagrams for Mind Flayer and Vecna. Netflix also released official WSQ torch boxes. When you shine a black light inside, a hidden message appears. Vecna lives. Many fans thought the number 7 meant January 7th. But what if it doesn't mean a date? What if it means a month? The 7th month is July, which is also the 10-year anniversary of Stranger Things. That would explain why nothing major happened on January 7th, and why things still feel unfinished. In the season 5 documentary trailer, a whiteboard appears behind the creators. Written on it are major events like Demogorgon attacks while confronting the Mind Flayer, but here's the problem. None of those things happen on screen. The board wasn't outlining the whole season. It was specifically outlining episode 8. Which means something was removed, either because it didn't fit or because it's being saved. The show teaches us something important. Small mistakes in memories mean the world isn't real. Examples. Will talks about getting milkshakes at a store that doesn't sell them. He remembers getting lost in the woods fondly, even though that was traumatic. The color of objects changes. A radio dial switches colors. A basement door flips direction. Watches stop showing time. Graduation robes are orange instead of black, making them look like prisoners. These aren't accidents. Professional editors have said mistakes like this almost never slip through unless they are intentional. In the ending, Mike and Nancy start acting like their parents, the future they feared. Max talks like Billy, the brother she hated. Will smokes, something he disliked about his mother. Everyone seems comfortable, safe, but wrong. That's the easiest future for Vecna to build. A fake future where everyone gives up who they really are. When Mike walks out of the basement and the song Heroes plays, it feels final. But that song has played before. When Will was dead in season 1, when Hopper was dead in season 3, both times it was a trick. And now it plays again. So the final question isn't about Vecna, it's about 11. Is she actually alive? No one directly answers it. The cast avoids it. The show avoids it. And that silence might be the loudest clue of all, because if 11 never escaped, then neither did the others. And the ending we saw wasn't freedom. It was conformity. Something is very wrong with the ending of Stranger Things. At first, it feels like a normal ending. The music is emotional, the characters smile, the danger seems over. But the more you think about it, the more things stop making sense. Not in a "this is confusing" way, but in a "this feels fake" way. Details don't line up. Memories feel wrong. Characters remember things that never happened. Objects change colors. Doors flip direction. Time disappears from watches. And the show itself seems to quietly whisper one disturbing message over and over again. Wake up! That's where the conformity gate theory begins. This theory says the ending we watched might not be real at all. It says that Mike and the rest of the main group never truly escaped Vecna. Instead, they are trapped inside his mind, stuck in a dream world made from broken memories. A world that feels safe, calm, and happy. But only because it is designed to make them stop questioning anything. That's what makes it dangerous. Vecna doesn't just want to hurt people anymore. He wants them to conform, to accept a fake future, to stop fighting, to stop asking questions. And here's the scariest part. The show might be telling us this directly, but in secret. Episodes don't register properly. Finale tickets aren't real tickets. A radio broadcast returns, telling people to turn it up to 11 and warning that the town has been taken over. Official merchandise hides messages that say Vecna lives. Posters, books, and games all point toward fake endings, illusions, and worlds that aren't real. Even the characters themselves don't act like who they used to be. They start becoming the very people they were afraid of becoming. And the show has taught us something important since season 1. When small details are wrong, the world is wrong. So what if the happy ending isn't a victory? What if it's a cage? What if the real final battle didn't end with explosions, but with silence, comfort, and acceptance? Because if that's true, then the ending of Stranger Things isn't hopeful at all. It's a warning. According to the conformity gate theory, everything changes in episode 4, the moment Mike is knocked unconscious. From that point on, reality may not be real anymore. Here, why that matters. Episodes 5 through 8 were never officially registered the way real TV episodes legally must be. Until that happens. They are classified as promotional or licensed content. That's extremely unusual for a show this big. Even stranger, when fans went to theaters to watch the finale, they weren't given real tickets. They were given vouchers, as if Netflix didn't want people officially paying for something that might not be a true ending. That lines up perfectly with the theory. If the conformity gate begins when Mike is knocked out, then everything after episode 4 could be a fake reality, built inside Vecna's mind. The show quietly supports this idea through details that feel off. Characters remember things incorrectly. Will talks about happy childhood memories that were actually traumatic. Objects change color between scenes. Watches stop showing time. Graduation robes are orange instead of black, making the characters look more like prisoners than graduates. And the characters themselves begin to change. Mike and Nancy start acting like their parents, the future they feared most. Max talks like her brother Billy, even though she hated him. Will does things he once disliked about his mother. Everyone becomes a version of themselves that is easier to control. That's important. Vecna doesn't need to torture them anymore if he can convince them to accept a fake life. There are also hidden warnings everywhere. A radio broadcast returns telling people to wake up. Hidden messages say Vecna lives. Posters reference stories with fake endings and alternate realities. Games shown in the season end with messages like, "It was all an illusion." Even the final song, Heroes, has played before during fake endings in earlier seasons. Each time viewers believed the story was over. Each time it was. So when the basement door opens and everything feels finished, the show might be repeating the same trick. The door isn't freedom, it's conformity. And that leads to the final, terrifying question: if Vecna is still alive, if this world is fake. Then is 11 actually alive? Or did the story end somewhere else, where we weren't looking? So after everything we've seen, everything we've noticed, and every detail that refuses to line up, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. The ending of Stranger Things does not behave like a real ending. It behaves like a trap. Real endings close doors. This one opens questions. Real endings answer mysteries. This one creates more. Real endings feel earned. This one feels too easy, too comfortable, too quiet. And that is exactly what makes it terrifying. The conformity gate theory does not say the show is bad. It says the show might be doing something much smarter and much darker than we expected. It suggests that the final danger wasn't a monster smashing buildings or worlds colliding in fire. It was something far more subtle: acceptance. Vecna doesn't need screams anymore. He doesn't need blood or fear if he can convince people that everything is fine. If he can build a world where the kids stop fighting, stop questioning, and slowly become versions of themselves they never wanted to be. That is conformity. Think about what the show has taught us from the very beginning. Stranger Things has always been about paying attention, about small details, about bikes leaning the wrong way, clocks ticking backwards, reflections that don't match, memories that feel off. The show trained us to notice when reality is lying. So when doors flip direction, when time disappears from watches, when memories don't belong to the people remembering them, when characters act like distorted copies of themselves. We are not supposed to ignore that. We are supposed to feel uncomfortable, because comfort is the weapon. The most dangerous thing about the ending is not that it's sad or confusing, it's that it feels safe. Everyone survives, everyone smiles, everyone moves on. But that's never how real victory looks in this story. Every time the show has pretended to end before, it used the same trick: emotional music, calm moments, closure that feels final. And every time it was a lie. So when the same song plays again, when the same calm settles in, when the same sense of it's over arrives, we should be asking the same question we were meant to ask before: is this real? And if it isn't real, then the scariest question of all remains unanswered. Is 11 alive? Not did she survive the fight, but something much deeper. Is she awake? Because if 11 is not awake, then neither is Mike. Neither is Will. Neither is any of them. And the future we are seeing isn't freedom. It's a dream designed to keep them quiet. A future where they stop resisting. A future where they become their parents, their fears, their worst possibilities. A future where the fight ends not with defeat, but with forgetting. That is why this theory has spread so fast. Not because people want another episode. Not because fans are greedy. But because something feels unresolved on a story level. People don't feel closure. They feel hesitation. Even the cast avoids answering certain questions. Even interviews deflect instead of confirm. Even official material seems to tease deception, illusions, and questioning reality itself. That isn't accidental. This show has never been accidental, which brings us to you. Because Stranger Things has always been about the audience being part of the story, about watching closely, about noticing what others miss, about refusing to accept the surface-level answer. The show doesn't hand you the truth, it hides it. And now, the question is not whether the conformity gate theory is 100% correct. The real question is this: why does so much evidence point in the same direction? Why do so many details align with the idea of a false ending? Why does the ending feel less like an escape and more like a performance? That's not something you can ignore. So here's the call to action. Go back and watch the ending again, but don't watch it like a fan. Watch it like a detective. Watch it like someone who knows the show lies on purpose. Pause on the details. Listen to the dialogue carefully. Look at the background. Watch the hands. Watch the doors. Watch the clocks. Ask yourself whether this world behaves like reality or like a dream trying to keep you asleep. And then ask yourself the most important question of all. If the show is telling us to wake up, who exactly is still asleep? If you see it now, you can't unsee it. And once you see it, the ending will never feel the same again. Because maybe the story didn't end where we were told it did. Maybe the real ending is still waiting. And maybe the gate never closed.